What is going on, guys? It is Sunday, and every Sunday I like to do a check-in with you and talk about what was in these markets and what will be in these markets. Now, you guys already know I like to cut out the fluff and basically head straight to the money. Tell you guys how you can make money from the markets, and ultimately that's all what you want to do. All of you guys want to be increasing the amount of money you are making, and if you didn't already know, the markets is the best vessel, the best vehicle that you guys can do that. Okay, I've had 10 years of experience in these markets almost, and I'm basically here to help you guys, make you speed up your journey to reaching that profitability, making wads of cash from the market, tell you guys about my trials and tribulations so you guys don't have to go through that. Essentially getting you guys to that end goal as quick as possible. And that's what I do with you guys every single week. You guys must understand that making money from the markets is not as hard as you may think it is. When there's a lot of information floating out there, you only need to know a few key bits of information and details, and you know that you're going to be able to execute a well-defined plan in these markets, and that's going to lead to some great outcomes and some great money. Now, for those of you guys who are new or who haven't checked in or tuned in for a while, you're probably wondering, why is this guy sitting here with heaps of money on his screen on the other side of the split screen? We're going to get to that. Okay. Last week I told you guys what will be in these markets for this week just gone. For those of you guys who watched that video, you would have seen that the market played out pretty much to perfection. Now, you already know, if I want to give you guys clear direction on where the markets are going to go, the best opportunities that are out there, you know I'm going to execute on it. Okay, you guys know by now I'm going to execute on it, and I'm going to execute on it big. So that's what we made this week, $31,528. Last week it was 21 something, so that's 50 G's in 2 weeks time. There's no reason why you, in a couple of years time, can't be making numbers very close to that. I'm human just like you. I've got 2 arms, 2 legs. I may be a little bit bigger than you. However, there's no reason why you cannot be making these types of figures in the near future. Okay, now everyone has a starting point. I didn't start at this level. I started off making like $10, $100 here, and it kind of like fluctuated around. But once you get that engine going, once you get that plan going, once you stick to a strategy, it starts coming in windfalls, and it keeps snowballing and snowballing. As a matter of fact, let me share this with you guys. This was one of the members from over at my Patreon. If you guys didn't already know, I have a private group, a community where I guide them. I tell them what to expect in the markets. I tell them when I'm entering into trades, what to look out for, best opportunities, traps, all that kind of good stuff. There's a group in there, and they're doing very well for themselves just by following along. All right, so we got Sergio here. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. He says, thanks for the TQQQ play. My profit was $2,800. So hopefully you guys can see that, $2,800. Right, this is a regular guy just like me and you. He says it's best play, and he thinks it was mine as well. He said, in terms of the information that I gave, all right, so I did a little post telling the guys when I was going to be entering into the trade, what I was going to be entering into, and he said it was clear and easy to follow. Said saying how I thought it might run up was useful. So this is the commentary I gave on that trade, and he said it played out exactly as predicted. All right, guys. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit that top link in the video description. You tap in with that community, and you get active. All right, because you have Sergio making $2,800 just like that. All right, this week just gone. I'm sure a lot of you guys, what's on my screen here would be phenomenal for you, but even 2,800 would be a complete game changer for a lot of you guys. And remember, you're able to make that, if you do this consistently, that's not a one-off. That's a recurring payment from the market. So I would say the market is like the great equalizer, regardless of what your starting position is in life, whatever your education level is, whatever your current situation is, whatever your, family dynamic is, class status, doesn't matter. The market is there as a vehicle for you to improve your current situation. There is nothing else like it in the markets, right? Remember, trillions and trillions is flowing around the markets every day. You only need a small slice of that to have a very significant return for yourself. So if you're not already, make sure you're getting active, because you're all missing out, most definitely. This stuff should be inspirational for you guys. It should tell you that there's a lot more out there for you. It should tell you that whatever your current situation looks like, it's a very small portion of your current existence. If you're able to go ahead and change the structure of what you're doing, add things that are going to be beneficial, knowledge, information, guidance, these types of things, that's what's going to push you out of whatever current situation you're in into a much better situation. And when you're in a much better situation, guess what? You can live a much more fruitful and enjoyable life, able to provide for those who are around you, do the things you want to do, whatever it may be, right? I know some of you guys are into some pretty weird stuff, but you can do all of that, okay? Just use the markets to your advantage. All right, so now I've got all that fancy intro out of the way, guys. The aim of the video is to now go through what will be in the markets next week. All right, if you remember last week, there was a lot of negativity. There was a lot of recession talk. There was a lot of, I don't really watch like finance YouTubers and all this kind of stuff, but it does infiltrate the feed from now and then. And when I was scrolling down, I saw a lot of stuff of big market crash coming, recession coming, this kind of stuff, right? Negative vibes. You guys already told you last week, told you exactly what's going to happen. Ignore all of that nonsense. I'm going to put you on the right path, on the right course to get you to what you want. And that is to make more money through this blessing that is the markets. I told you the market's going to go straight up. It's exactly what it did. Okay, so now we're going to look and see what the markets are telling us ahead of next week. Okay, every week is an opportunity to make money in the markets. Every week is an opportunity to better ourselves. So I'm going to give you that information, and you guys do whatever you want to do with it, right? Okay, so I have not looked at the markets at all. So none of this is pre-planned. So we're going to do this together. Okay, so I haven't looked at the market since like Thursday, Friday, and it wasn't a deep dive. So you're going to see me thinking. I might pause for 2 minutes. Okay, I might pause for a whole 2 minutes and be like, what's the markets doing? That's how we're going to play it today. All right, so first of all, guys, what I want to do, and over like every year I add to how I systemize in these markets. I add little bits here and there, nothing crazy, nothing major, okay? But little bits are added every year just to refine and hone the way that I approach the markets. And in doing so, that's how we produce these types of numbers that you saw on the screen. So this year, a big thing for me was defining the first thing that you look at, okay? Because there's always going to be an index that basically controls the rest of the market. It's like the index is at the top, the rest of the market, it's like a puppet, right? So it's the master controller, and the rest are its little puppet things, right? So the US 100, which is the QQQ, is the leader, is the puppet master here. And then everything else below that is what it kind of controls. It's another way of saying that it's the most important thing to look at. If you are looking at the most important thing, it's going to guide your direction. Okay? A lot of people kind of run around these markets like headless chickens. That's why I have the Patreon. So you don't have to be headless chickens. You can follow someone who's had 10 years of experience, who's gone through the trials and tribulations in these markets, and it's come out the other side and it's making big wads of cash just like that. Very, very simple, very easy. But that's what I want for you. Okay, so the QQQ, the NASDAQ, all the same thing. It is the puppet master. This is what you must look at first this year, by the way. Okay, that may change next year, but you have to have a starting position, and that's what you need to look at first of all. QQQ. That's why I always start there. I always start with the NASDAQ because it's going to give me the true and unfiltered reality of what the market is looking at. And if I have that true and unfiltered reality of what the market's looking like, then I can place logical trades around that. Okay, a lot of people kind of just jump into the deep end, and they don't know all of this kind of type of information. They don't know what the bias is. They don't know what the starting point is. They don't know what the foundation of the story is here. All right, so we set the QQQ. So what I want to do is I want to look at some key points of interest, right? So these are going to be massive turning points, relevant price actions, things like that, because that's going to, again, build up this story and build up this structure. All right, the most important thing was this low here. I remember when this low took place right here, I did a video and I told you guys, look, the market is bottomed. The market is bottomed out. I think there was a lot of recession talk and fears when that happened. Okay, if you just scroll down your feed, you would have seen a lot of faces like this. Like people like, come on, like people thinking that the market's gonna go to zero, gonna go down, recessions, all that kind of thing. I told you on that video, this is the low for the year. That video was like three or four videos ago. Like, go and check it out. I literally said this is the low of the year. I called it in the worst drop that we'd had. Like 15 days in a row, the market was red. I said, hey guys, that's the low. You buy here, you make a lot of money. Markets soared from there. So we've had what we call this fake break situation. Okay, so market broke a significant structure, boom, and you see that resulting push higher, putting it back on course, okay, back on that momentum course. That's that purple line basically. So now we pushed above that purple line. It shows that we are in a position of strength. You hear me talk about this word, position of strength. Position of strength. My mum always laughs at me when I say strength or strategy, right? It's like I can't pronounce it. I don't know why. So now we're in this position of strength, and this is the foundation, right? So as long as we remain in a position of strength, you're going to be taking more call options than put options. For those of you guys that don't know about call options or put options, you're missing out. In a given day, for example, overall index like a Qs might move up 1%, 0.75%. But underneath that, right, some smart people out there have created what we call the derivatives market, and that allows you to have exponential returns on top of whatever the underlying asset has moved. So if the Qs are going to move 1%, your derivative, your options market is going to move 30, 40, 50%. That's how you get those juicy returns. Okay, so that's how I made that 31 Gs through the options market. You must tap into the options market. You must use it to your advantage. So now we understand we're in a position of strength. Now we want to go to a more micro view. So the macro view is good. Boom, we're in position of strength. We've just bounced off that key level of support, which is what I was telling you guys about last week. So what's the micro view now? Well, the micro view now is that we've got quite a few levels of overhead resistance. We've got levels here, we've got levels up here. All right, so this overhead resistance could cause a pause in the current direction, current momentum. Okay, it could cause a pause. Doesn't mean it has to cause a reversal. It could cause a pause. If it causes a pause, it could cause some issues for those that are long. All right, so that's why last week the profits were secured. I sent a message to the guys over the Patreon. Guys, close up. All right, the bank has paid out. Take the money. Get ready for the next one. Okay, it's important to understand when to extract your profits from the markets, reset, recalibrate, get ready for the next round. Okay, that's exactly what we did over the Patreon. So now we got these levels of overhead resistance. It could cause some problems for this momentous move of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. straight green days in a row that we've had. I did tell you guys in last week's video. So that means going into this week, you want to be a bit more cautious, right? You can see my tone isn't as like last week. I was like, buy this right now, you're gonna make money. I'm not saying that now. I'm saying it's a cautious week. The market is paid out big last week. The market paid out big the week before. We could be on for a chill out, just take it easy. If you actually have to get active, you take a few positions where you're just in for like an hour or two here and there. That's your type of thing. But the market is coming up to levels of resistance that we cannot ignore. Okay, so even though the market is strong, yes, we are coming up to levels of resistance we cannot ignore. So that could also bring days of nothingness, days where we are basically flat, right? And what we want that volatility. We want those big moves. So what I'm saying to you is, next week, the likelihood is we may not get that big week. We may not get that volatility spike that pays us out. Okay, that's what we're seeing from the cues. We can go more deep than that, but we'll keep it there for now. Now what I like to do is do a check on the rest of the index. Okay, what is the rest of the second tier puppet masters telling us? So that's going to be your Dow, that's going to be your S&P. All right, cool. Well, check into the Dow. The Dow is hovering near its all-time high. Okay, that's interesting, but it's not at an all-time high. Where is it at? It's at a level of resistance again. So you can see we are now syncing up with what we said with the Qs. The Qs is at a level of resistance. We want to be cautious. We want to be careful, mindful. Right? You don't want to be stupid. You don't want to be taking call options when it's just moved into an obvious level of resistance. Cautious, mindful, relax. All right. You can even see in the last candle that we had a bit of a sell-off towards the end of the day. Okay, if I zoom in, you can see that bit of a sell-off. So again, these are like micro details that lead to big profits. But the key thing here is it's syncing up with what we said with the NASDAQ, that we are still seeing this sell-off. It's syncing up with the NASDAQ that we are seeing this move into significant levels of resistance. All right, so this is a level that the Dow has struggled with twice historically in recent times. Okay, cool. So S&P. Now again, S&P's failed to break that all-time high. Again, coming into its again, same story with the Dow. We have this overhead resistance level. This doesn't mean you short it, but actually what I think after now looking at these three markets together and kind of all the juice is flowing in my brain, I actually think what we're going to see is 1, 2, maybe 3 days of choppiness, sideways movement. Maybe it comes down a little bit, notch 2 or here. People kind of take positions. The market falls with them, plays with them, and then it moves higher. That's what I believe would happen. So if I was to see a pullback, okay, a pullback into certain areas, certain levels, and you want to be in the Patreon to make sure that you're getting in on those levels I'm talking about, right? Off the top of the dome, it's looking at like 5,555, 5,550 type of range on the S&P. All right, that would set a trap for those who just can't take it easy, those who have got a bit fidgety. All right, lay that trap for them, that bear trap, and then move higher, and actually then break into S&P breaking into all-time high territory. That is what I expect will take place. Okay, so that is, you see how I've basically very easily constructed that bias just by looking at the relevant indexes and by understanding the story that it's telling us at this point in time, and then using the experience I've had, that 10 years of experience, right? Those trials and tribulations, those ups and downs, goods and bads. It's mainly good right now, to my advantage, okay? Because history has a funny thing of repeating itself, especially in the markets, or especially in just that is just a dynamic of humankind, right? History repeating itself happens all the time. I'm sure you guys have seen it with your own current lives. You can see repetitive events, things taking place, good or bad. That's what I'm here to do, is here to break that structure of that repetitive cycle that you guys may find yourselves in, introduce this unique opportunity that we have before us, which is the markets, that you guys go ahead and take advantage of. You most definitely must do that. You must do that. It's there for the taking. Okay. All right, cool. So after that, then what you want to do is you want to drop down to some individual names to see if there is anything there that looks interesting. Because you've set that overall bias, you're like, okay, cool, I'm still going along. However, I know the market may lay a trap for me, and when it lays that trap, that's going to act as my optimum entry point. You guys will hear me talk about that optimum entry point. Okay, that's important, because they're going to be suboptimal entry points, they're going to be optimal entry points, and you want to get in at an optimal entry point. That's the difference between 50% and 100% return. So if you're able to get in an optimum entry point, you're going to be putting yourself in a much better position than those who aren't aware of this. The optimum entry point, again, to reiterate, for the markets coming up next week is a pullback. All right. Yeah, I forgot to say, by the way, any questions you got or comments you guys have, drop them down below, good or bad. I want to respond to them next time we do a video. Okay, cool. So let's drop down to some other names here. Go to a name like Apple. It's not something I trade often. Right? Apple's got some very weird price action a lot of the time. Doesn't really yield great opportunities. Like once or twice a year, it probably yields something of substance, something that is interesting. But right now, it doesn't yield anything. So we're gonna keep going to names like Microsoft. Look at Microsoft, right? Come right into, you're gonna see a lot of historic notes and annotations on the charts from my side, and those who have OCD, that might freak you out. I haven't cleaned the charts, but it's interesting to see when I lay these levels on my charts and see price interacting with them 1 month, 2 months down the line. And that's what's taking place right now. Again, same story. We're coming into a level of resistance here. Okay. That resistance is telling me that the market may struggle early next week. But that struggle looks like it's going to be temporary. Another thing I want to say to you guys is, across the charts, and this is a good thing, and you'll see this once you guys build up experience, we set that low, right? That was the low that I was like, buy the market, you're going to make a lot of money. I don't know if you guys did. Then you're going to see, then what we see is another low, but check it out. The low is higher than the previous low. That is like Market Technicals 101. A low that is higher than the previous low sets a strong structure. Okay. Significant low, higher low. You're going to see that across the markets. This is a telltale sign for what's truly going on. So MSFT looks like a decent one, but again, you just stick with the Qs, right? You don't need to overcomplicate it. So by the Qs, I mean TQQQ, right? TQQQ is just 3 times the QQQ. It's one of the best things to trade options on. That's what I traded options on this week with the guys. That's that trade that you saw. I was on TQQQ. Unbelievable. That's all you really need right now. But by going down to these individual names, it helps you fill in the gaps. It helps you cement the story that the market's told you. Okay. Again, what I'm seeing is a lot of intermediary resistance levels. Okay. Intermediary resistance level on Meta. Intermediary level resistance on Microsoft, intermediary level resistance on Google. Same story everywhere. When you get that same story everywhere, you know that the market's going to play out to what you think it's going to play out to, like with 90%, 95% accuracy. what I'm actually doing here is what I'm looking for is leaders. Okay, you hear me talk about this thing about leaders. So who has leadership here? By leadership, I mean who is front running, who is ahead of the game. So I told you, yes, we should expect a little bit of sideways movement, pulling back a little bit, confusing, throw that curveball. It's like market throwing a grenade to those who are less aware early to start the week, and then that true intended move takes place. That's why, look, worst days to trade while we're on this topic: Monday and Friday. Those are the worst 2 days. Take those days out. If you never traded Monday and Friday, your win rate would shoot up through the roof. So I'm looking for leaders. I'm looking for who's in leadership. I'm looking for who's already kind of front run this next move that we're going to see. I can't really see anyone. I mean, Nvidia is trying to, and they may have, because I can see that they've broken through that key level of resistance. So Nvidia could be one where you get a pullback down to 116, 117, take those call options, right up to the 130 level. That could be an opportunity. But hey, if you want to know if I take that trade, make sure you hit the Patreon link, top link in the video description. Okay, join people like Cercio right here. Cercio, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, who made 2,500 this week. Right, did very well for yourself. So I want that to be you. I want that to be you. I want you to be able to churn those types of numbers with consistency, with regularity. Can you imagine? It'd be amazing for yourself. All right, so I can't see any front runners. Nvidia looks like the one that may be front running the most out of the bunch. So that may be one. So, two best options. So I've gone through a couple of these names next week is one being the TQQQ, triple TQQ. That returns that generates some beastly returns, I'm telling you guys. Okay. TQQQ is an absolute monster when it comes to generating returns. And then you got Nvidia as well. Nvidia looks like another candidate, right? So you got candidate number 1, candidate number 2 for next week. God, I don't think we need to go any further. I think that is a pretty good comprehensive review of what you guys should expect next week. All right, that's a good 27 minutes for you guys to digest, to think about, to revise on ahead of next week. But as I said, don't leave the market to just people like myself, right? Make sure you're taking advantage of it. It's there for the taking. It's the great equalizer. Regardless of what your current position is, regardless of what your education level is, regardless of what your current occupation is, regardless of what your class is, your situation, whatever, the market is there to counteract all of that and improve your existence through the generation of capital. Okay, it's a blessing that most people don't take advantage of, and that's why I come on here and tell you guys, help you, give you directions, put you on the right course. Because again, there's a lot of useless information out there, and the few times it does infiltrate my feed, I feel sorry for you guys. I feel sorry for people out there who have to consume that stuff, because it's useless. All right, but here I am creating that great equalizing effect for you guys with the markets. All right, so take that, use that information, make sure you hit that top link in the video description, join the Patreon. Catch you guys on the next one.